Hello everyone, my name is Nico Sorenson, and today I'm here with my research group mates, Cece Locati, Ava Reisman, Hannah Hannley, and Nick Gore, and we're going to be talking about our research project that focuses on the intersection of language and gender. This year, we have been lucky enough to be a part of the FIG runway Tomato, and I would like to start off by thanking our FIG professor, Melissa Basie-Burke, and our FIG assistant, Justin Furtado, for all the help and guidance they've given us this year. We would not be able to do this without them, so we all thank them both very much. Today, my group and I are going to be walking you all through our research process and our final question, as well as our data, predictions, and conclusions. When we first heard that we were going to be conducting research and participating in this symposium, it was really intimidating for us because we had never taken on something like this, but my group knew right away that we wanted to focus on the topic of language and gender because it's an issue that is important to us and directly affects our lives. Our project focuses around the differences in the way people describe women and men, so that includes the words that are used to describe them, how educated people assume them to be, and what jobs they are associated with. Thanks to the help and feedback we received from our classmates earlier in the year, we were able to come up with a plan for our survey. Our survey is directed at University of Oregon freshmen and starts off with a consent form and general information, then moves on to a randomized audio recording, and then ends with some post-survey questions. Ava will be going into the specifics of what our survey consisted of.
As Nico said, we drafted a consent form and posed a few general questions for the participants, such as gender, their race, their age, and if they were affiliated with Greek life. Next, the participants are randomly assigned an audio recording to listen to that is either a male or female speaker. And we just wanted to make a quick disclaimer, by the way, that we acknowledge that gender is a spectrum, but for the purpose of this survey and our study, we thought it would be more beneficial to stick with the two of male and female genders. Both speakers are saying the same thing in the recordings. The only difference is the voice. We actually were able to digitally manipulate our groupmate Cece Locati's voice, and we were able to make it sound more masculine. And after the participants listened to the audio, we asked them a few questions, such as what age they assume the speaker to be, how much money they assume the speaker makes, what job they assume the speaker has, their relationship status, and lastly, to pick 5 words from a word bank that they think would describe the speaker best. And with that, I'm going to be passing it over to Hannah.
Specifically, we used the Qualtrics survey website and Pratt recordings. We use these 2 websites because Qualtrics has the ability to assign random surveys to different people, which helps us get results for the 2 different recordings used. And Pratt is able to distort one recording and make it sound like the opposite gender. We are actually going to play you 2 short clips from each recording so you can get a sense of the voice distortion that took place.
This morning, my alarm went off at 9 a.m. because even though it's the weekend, I like to take a bike ride around the neighborhood to start my day. I've been feeling pretty out of shape recently, so I've been trying to exercise more. My dog loves to come on rides with me because she can run alongside my bike.
This morning, my alarm went off at 9 a.m. because even though it's the weekend, I like to take a bike ride around the neighborhood to start my day. I've been feeling pretty out of shape recently, so I've been trying to exercise more. My dog loves to come on rides with me because she can run alongside my bike and it.
As you just heard, the first recording was a female voice and the second recording was the distortion into the male voice. We would again like to thank Melissa for helping us distort Cece's voice to make these recordings possible. While making this survey, we did run into some problems, such as our recordings we did record did not add on to our survey. We also had trouble making the survey random so that the different people could get different recordings. In addition, we also had to make sure that with each of the questions we asked that we chose if they were going to be fill-in-the-blank questions or if they were going to be multiple choice. Once fixed, we were able to publish our survey and get our results. Now I'm going to hand it over to Cece.
Overall, our goal with this survey would be to see if there are particular words and assumed education and occupation levels that are associated with both men and women. We ultimately We ultimately wanted to demonstrate that both sexes face stereotypes. We assume that people within our response pool will tend to think of men and women in a certain way. We expected to see a difference in how men and women are perceived. Specifically, we thought that occupation would vary greatly depending on the sexes. Along with occupation, we expected the yearly income of the different perceived speakers to be different as well. We expected to see that the male perceived speaker would be earning more money and be in a more office related career. One thing that we thought could also be different for the two speakers is their relationship status. The speakers both talk about having a messy apartment, and this could mean different things depending on the perceived gender. We expected the age of the two speakers and the education level of the speakers to also be an aspect that would be relatively constant or similar because they are saying the same words. We also expected the adjectives chosen for the description of the speakers to be different. We thought that the female perceived speakers would be described as more warm, adventurous, or friendly, and we thought that the male perceived speakers would be described as more athletic, lazy, dominant, and maybe sloppy. We also wanted to state that these conclusions that we drew from the survey will only apply to the University of Oregon's freshmen, and by stating this, we are hoping to not overgeneralize our findings.
So for our actual data, we, as Cece said, looked at a few different things. To start, we looked at occupation, and for the first speaker, which was the female voice, this person was associated with occupations in journalism and blogging. Many also said that this person was a waiter, or could have been a waiter or a student. And then for speaker two, which was the male voice, all the responses, or a lot more of the responses, were based around business or office job occupations. Some also said students, but we predicted that this would be one of the areas we'd see the biggest stereotypes come into play, and that definitely happened as we saw more male, or people associating the male voice with a business setting. The second piece of data we're going to look at is the income, which was pretty consistent. Majority of people said $50,000 to $75,000 a year for both speakers. However, more people said $75,000 a year for men rather than the female voice. Next was the words to describe each speaker. So for speaker one, this person was described as friendly, affectionate, unsure, helpful, and chatty. And for speaker two, this person was described as hardworking, agreeable, confident, and interesting. So we saw definitely some of the stereotypes that we were expecting to see. We saw throughout doing this. The age, education level, and relationship status were all pretty much the same. But one thing that we found pretty interesting was that most of the people who responded to our survey were female, and they still ended up carrying this stereotype, male versus female stereotypes, when looking at our data. So without further ado, thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to email any of the emails listed below. And yeah, thank you.